The pride, passion, and pageantry of college football lives here. This is the Paul Finebaum Show, Hour 3 podcast.
This might be college football heaven.
We are back. Second half of the show is live. We have a lot going on in the second half. We'll start with your phone calls, though, and Handsome Joe is up next.
Roll Tide Roll, Paul Finebaum, and hey, happy Wednesday, my man. Happy Wednesday.
You got it,
hey,
brother.
First off, I want to say this about Daryl. Now, I don't usually talk good about Daryl, but hey, that was a great Zoom call he had. I mean, looking at him, he kind of reminded me like a NASCAR crew chief. And that just, I mean, he actually looked,
Oh, yeah.
That was a great Zoom call. And, I liked the room. I don't know what room he was in, but I liked everything about that Zoom call. I loved it, Paul. It wasn't nothing set up, nothing fake. And just Daryl being Daryl, and he spoke some very good points. And as far as Brad popped Ari. I mean, he popped him with a barrage of jabs, Paul. Threw a few uppercuts, half a dozen roundhouse kicks, and I mean, he thumped his ear just for good measure. I mean, Brad, he was throwing torpedoes at him. And Ari, he may need some of Cat Daddy's pound metal moonshine, to get over that ass whooping. Because Brad, man, I'm proud of you. Brad did good. I mean, Ari looked like he was prepared on what he was going to say, and Brad was just coming straight from the heart. I mean, Brad was just, he was hitting Ari. Ari looked like a deer, in the headlights. Like he didn't know where Brad was coming from. And Ari's arguments was dumb, Paul. He was talking about wins. How many wins should be better than strength of schedule, which is ridiculous. And I'm totally on Brad on this one. Brad spoke some truth, and I had to call in and talk good about Brad because that was absolutely. I'm proud of you, Brad. You did great, my man. And hey, Brad was ready. I mean, I was actually shocked. I didn't know how good Brad would do, but Brad did. And as far as even the Zoom call, even though it was an argument with Warren, it wasn't really an argument. Brad was just spitting some truth bombs at him. But that was the best Zoom call.
Yeah, you know what I liked about Brad? I mean, he's just one of these guys that just kept coming after you. And Ari just tried to be haughty and I'm just going to flick this guy away like a fly at the picnic, and he just kept getting battered.
He did, Paul. And Ari's like Brad was nothing. Like, why am I even wasting my time when Brad was just, man, Brad didn't have to think about anything.
I tell you who I have the biggest problem with, Joe?
Who's that?
The control room right here.
Me too.
I mean, they just kept. I think they decided. I think it was fixed.
I do. Ari may have slipped him some money. Yeah, it was fixed. Ari slipped.
I think they're going. Brad will call back tomorrow whether he gets a hammering or not. But we got to make sure we don't upset Ari Wasserman. He's a guest on the show, and I mean, I kept looking up and going, where? How come Brad's not getting scored? I mean, it was like a terribly officiated game.
Yeah. It was. It's like.
Can we get somebody on camera here from the control room? Oh, they won't come on camera. Okay.
I mean, it was like Brad come out of the audience and jumped up in there and just slammed Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it was, and I'm proud of Brad. I mean, Brad represented the SEC, and he was speaking from the heart, and I loved everything. And I got all respect for Ari. Now, I do. I'm not going to put Ari down that bad because I do have a lot of respect for him.
Give Ari credit. Most people in the industry, they're not going to mess with a Finebaum caller. You know what I'm talking about, Joe.
Right, and I think Ari's wishing now he hadn't. I mean, because
listen, he's not getting out of bed tomorrow morning.
No. He's probably throw back a half a dozen Jaeger bombs right by now, just trying to get the back, the Brad.
I mean, he's like, what was it? Which Rocky movie was it, Joe? And the guy, he said, no rematch. Like
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no rematch.
No more.
And that was the first Rocky movie.
Yeah, that was the first Rocky movie. You're right.
It was, and the one that said it, he didn't know that he had actually won the fight. They gave him the fight.
Yeah.
Kind of like the control room gave Ari the fight.
Yeah, I'm calling for an immediate investigation into control. Who's back there today? Do we know, Randy? Bulldog and Jamari. Okay, well, I don't want to be that guy who starts questioning the people with whom we work.
Yeah, well, they will probably remain anonymous. You know,
Yeah,
they like to.
I don't want to. I mean, those guys
like,
work. Those men and women in the other room work hard, and they're well-meaning. But I don't know if they quite grasp what we saw here in the studio.
They don't. It's like bad officials hurrying up, running out of the
Oh
field.
yeah, these guys were gone. Game end. Where are the officials? They didn't run off the field. They got on motorcycles and left.
That's right, Paul. But hey, I made me some fried chicken today, and so it's good, Paul. Fried chicken, biscuits, and
fried chicken and
biscuits.
Was it cold there today? I mean, it was like 30 degrees here all day and rain.
Right. Well, it's almost 60 here, but it's raining.
Well.
I mean, it's been raining.
You talk about a cold day. Is there anything better, Randy, than fried chicken and biscuits? Ooh.
Well, no, I got homemade vegetable soup tonight, or here just shortly. So, hey, now that's good, Paul. But anyway, I love the show, man. But Brad, man, I'm proud. You need to give, Brad deserves a trophy for that one.
Yeah,
I mean, he does. And Ari, maybe a participation trophy.
Yeah, we'll give him. We'll give Ari. Remember one of those like fifth place in the Little League baseball tournament.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. The fifth base. He, put him in I don't know, maybe a substitute player. When the bottom of the ninth, maybe put him in. But yeah, but Ari did good. But Brad just did much better.
Handsome Joe, I was playing in one of these football leagues once, and I made the All-Star team. And I was really proud, by the way. And you know how I made it? The coach was dating my sister.
Hey, that's one way to do it.
That's how Ari won this battle here today. He was given. Hey, thanks, Joe. I was an All-Star though. You're not buying that, are you, Randy? Deborah is up next. Deborah?
Yes.
Well, good afternoon.
Yes, how you doing?
We are doing great, Deborah.
Is this Mr. Finebaum?
Yes, this is Mr. Finebaum.
Okay, listen, I'm looking at your show now, and I am from Goodwater, Alabama.
Yes, ma'am. I know where that is.
Okay, well, listen, and I know you finna reside in Birmingham, but anyway, I'm gonna get to the real reason why I called.
Well,
I want to talk about the Super Bowl game.
Okay.
Is that all right?
I would. That would be fantastic.
Okay, listen. First of all, the Kansas City Chiefs are my number one team.
Okay.
And anybody that played up under Nick Saban from Alabama, I am with them. Whoever team they play on, I cheer for them always.
I hear you.
Okay, and with Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts.
Yes, ma'am.
I love him too, because he played up under Nick Saban. So I'm gonna have let me cut this down because I'm listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Deborah, go turn.
I don't want to lose my concentration.
Do this. Go turn the sound down, and we'll wait. We will wait for you. Okay.
Okay, I'm back on. Listen. Okay, this is what I was finna say. For both, I was rooting for both of them. But when the game came on and the way it started off, I couldn't take it. I had to turn my TV off and turn it on something else. I put on a movie.
Okay.
And it was on in another room. They was watching it. I couldn't stand to hear them cheering, because I knew something wasn't going right. But anyway, this is my point.
I did this watching Alabama.
Patrick Mahomes showed up. The dynasty didn't show up.
You're right.
Patrick Mahomes played his ass off. I don't care what you said. They got beat true enough.
Well, Patrick Mahomes never had a chance.
I know. Jalen Hurts now put the hurt on them. They played street football.
Yes, ma'am.
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they used to play in. I don't know the name for the type ball game they play. You know what I'm saying? They have skits and stuff that they practice on.
They're kind of a finesse team.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And Andy Reid, Lord have mercy, he's a very, very good coach.
Well,
him and Nick Saban, yes. I take my hat off to him. Yes. But anyway, this is what I'm saying. Jalen Hurts now, he had a vendetta to prove when they didn't win the Super Bowl when they played the Kansas City Chiefs before.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
So he had a vengeance to prove it. He came out there to prove it.
He did.
And from the beginning to the end, they didn't let up. They didn't let up off the gas. You can't take that. We all saw it. But this is my point. Everybody want to dog Patrick Mahomes out. He can't do it by himself. It takes a village. And the village didn't have his back. They did not have his back. All them time they want to talk about how many times he got sacked. Why did he get sacked?
Because the offensive line couldn't block a
he wouldn't
fly.
have got sacked that many times. Am I right?
You are right, Deborah. And let me thank you again for calling in.
Baby, I ain't through. Can I continue to talk?
Sure.
Okay. What I'm saying is they didn't have his back. The dynasty didn't show up. It was nobody but Worthy. Patrick Mahomes and Worthy. They went 4 quarters without scoring. And you know that's not like the Chiefs, not like them. Where were the rest of the players at? And then at the end, a minute and some seconds left on the clock at the 4th quarter. It's the game. Patrick and them knew they had lost. But did he give up? He played like a champ. Do you hear me? From the beginning to the end.
Right.
Every time they knocked his ass down, he got up. Did he not?
He did.
He got up and he kept on pushing. They in the 4th quarter, minute some seconds left on the clock. They end up with 22 points, him and Worthy. Do you hear me? If he had gave up, they wouldn't have had no 22 points. I don't know another team that would have fought as hard as he did. He always makes stuff happen. Even if he's losing, he made stuff happen. And what I'm so proud of is the way he handled himself. Mm-hmm. Every time they knocked him down, he got up like a man. And he finished like a champ. Do you hear me? He went out there and did his job from the beginning to the end. And then when he had to face the reporters, he didn't hold his head down.
No, he didn't duck them like his tight end.
Yes, he looked them in their eyes and told them exactly how it was, and that's how it was. He didn't have no help. They got beat down. Maybe Andy Reid should have put the second strand in there because the first strand didn't show up. Nobody but Worthy. But, and for them, Dog and Taylor Swift out.
Yeah.
She don't play football. She was at a football game. She got the freedom and the right to go wherever she want to go.
Yes, she does.
And if she want to be at anybody's game, she can be there. And the crowd want to boo her. For what? For what? And it's the news reporters is responsible for them putting the camera on her as much as they did. You understand what I'm saying? Now they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Y'all, they make problems and then they want to talk about it.
Right.
And will you get this message to Stephen A?
Oh, yeah. What do you want me to tell Stephen A?
Please let him know to keep his big mouth closed. He makes me sick sometimes. He'll tell part of the story. It's a part B to this. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs, they got beat down. Yes, they did. But why did they get beat down? Did Patrick Mahomes have help? Shannon Sharp and you are the only, and y'all are the only two professionals opinion that done told the story right, and everybody looking at it seeing what I'm seeing. He didn't have no backup. Every time he got the ball in his hand, what they do? They were knocking him down. The referee wasn't even calling none of them shots and stuff.
Yeah, you know, Deborah, we have to take a break, but I want to compliment you. This you are now the early favorite for Caller of the Year on this show. This is fantastic.
Yes, it is, because I want to keep talking. I ain't through.
Okay. Well, okay.
I'm not gonna hang up.
Let me give you a couple more seconds, but at some point we do have to go to the break.
Okay, I don't mind just as long as you come back to me. Hey.
Okay. Thank you, Deborah. We'll talk soon. We are heading to the break, 5 minutes late, but we're still heading, and we will continue right after this.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
Our friend that called in a minute ago talked for 7 minutes. Let's check in with Nick next in Tampa.
Hey, Paul, how are you doing?
We are well.
I'm not going to talk too long. I just have a novel approach. I suggest in the future that perhaps we institute a shot clock on the Paul Finebaum
Wow, that
show.
is I think that's a fantastic idea.
All right, that's all I want to say, brother. You take care.
Well, Nick, I like that idea. Rick is in Houston. Rick, go right ahead.
Hey, Paul. Man, trying to follow Deborah is going to be a hard job. But can you imagine trying to backtalk that lady?
No.
Oh no, it would not.
I mean,
well.
I can because my late mother could talk like that. My mother should have been a talk show host, and I should have been something else.
Well, Paul, Brad did his fandom good because he latched on to Ari today and didn't let go. So I'll say that. I'll say that for Brad.
You know, you're right. He was like a chihuahua who grabs the postman and just carried him all the way down the street.
Well, Paul, I got a couple of pieces. I got a couple of things about a couple other callers. You know, I think Chris needs to find something to expend all his energy on that would be more worthwhile than trying to drum up a feud with Stephen A. Smith. And I've got a good idea for him. Maybe he could start a GoFundMe for the Clemson mascot to replace that meth head costume that they have out there. So I think that's a good idea. But then John from St. Louis, Paul, my dad had a saying, and I think it sums the man up perfectly. My dad would have said, he doesn't have enough sense to pour piss out of a rundown boot.
Your dad was a smart man, or is a smart man. Rick, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jeff is up next.
Good afternoon, Paul. How are you? Hey, Paul. How are you doing?
Fine, Jeff.
Hey, I think that the people in the back they missed the beginning of the fight. Brad cold caught Ari right out of the locker rooms.
He did.
And I think they might have missed that. So I got to give Brad.
I don't know. They must have had a spread in there. They're like, oh, okay, this will go on for a few minutes. Let's get the free food and the drinks. I mean, where were those guys?
No, they missed a really good opening punch. I'll tell you that.
They really did.
Hey, when there was a Zoom call with Daryl, I thought he made it. He was alluding to that BYU national title back in '84, I believe it was.
Correct.
I always thought that was the beginning of where we got to a playoff because BYU had to play 6-6 Michigan. They had played nobody all year.
It was a disgrace.
And they get the national title. Sorry?
No, it was an absolute disgrace. But I mean, again, it was 31 years ago, but it was still terrible.
And that's where it got started, I thought. I thought that's where it got started with people saying, we got to settle this thing some other way. It isn't working out. Just because you go undefeated, there's no reason to give a team national title.
That to me was the lamest argument I heard today during that conversation. And the Ari Wasserman crowd, they act like everything has changed. Well, no, nothing has really changed. I mean, Ohio State won. They were the best team, and they're part of a rich royalty. But the SEC ended up cannibalizing itself because of the schedules of some of these programs. Now some of it was self-inflicted. I would agree, but it was still Ole Miss is still better than Indiana. That wasn't the question, but that is a fact. Thank you very much for the call. I do appreciate it. Expired is up next. Go right ahead, Expired. You're on the air.
All right, Paul. Who's hot? Who's not? Here we go. Brad is hot. Big Ten Ari is not. Going on a 41-11 run is hot. Calling with judge attached to your name is not. Pony League. Yes, Pony League is hot. Nursing League is not. Being 9-3, Paul. Being 9-3 and beating Bama is hot. Being 12-0, and I repeat it, 12-0, Paul, and beating Valdosta State 12 times is not. And the last one, Paul, being from Bangladesh and dying from a diarrheal disease is hot. Smelling coffee is not. Have a great day, Paul.
Another punch toward the artist formerly known as John from St. Louis. We'll take a short break. We have a long way to go here on a Wednesday afternoon.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
John is next.
Hey, Paul. Quick question. You know what a script is?
I'm sorry, John, I missed part of your question.
I was going to ask you, do you know what a script is?
Yes, I do.
And in your opinion or your analysis, what is a scripted program?
A scripted program, John, is when everything is preordained. When we walk in and I look down and I read from a piece of paper or computer, and everything is preordained to go a particular way, as opposed to the way this program runs. It's completely extemporaneous. I have no written notes. We know who the guests are going to be, but most of the show is an improv, and that's why it is considered one of the better shows in America, John.
Well, Paul, there's no question your show is A+. Okay? I appreciate that. You agree with that? Your show is A+? Would you?
I am a big fan of the Paul Finebaum Show. Some people may not be, but
Paul,
I think the show it would be a shame if it ended soon.
Yeah, Paul, it's A+, but I can tell you about my sources.
What's that, John?
About my sources.
Oh, okay. Well, let's hear this. I'm always intrigued by what your inside information about us.
Well, Paul, I learned today that your call with Wasserman, is it Wasserman or Swasherman?
It is Wasserman, according to Brad. WASS.
And Mr. Brad, who I've already commented about. That's a scripted call, Paul. And it's evident to me and the rest of the SEC Nation that this is the kind of thing we don't need to have on your show, Paul. And the last caller you had, though, the young lady from what's her name, Catherine from Alabama.
Deborah,
that's unscripted. And that's the genuine interest of people like me who won't listen to the show. But when you keep having people like Brad calling your show, and then you discount on top of that anybody like myself, Paul, who questions, I guess you'd say, the authority of your show and where your show is coming from, that's what we really don't like, Paul. But with that said,
but John,
Paul, I'm quitting. Paul, I'm quitting your show because of that. Okay, I'm done with you because you don't talk straight, and you're vindictive towards me. Over and out.
Anyway, we have a tweet here from a great caller to the show, legend, going to call. That's 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 Eastern. I'm not 100%. He's having some issues with his hearing. He's getting it checked. Number of doctors he has visited, but we are delighted to be able to say hello to him in a couple of minutes. Vance is up next.
Hey, Paul. Oh my God, this today has been epic. Paul, it's obvious that Ari is, of course, because of his vocation, is more comfortable behind a mic and talking than is Brad.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, but Brad's first argument or his he was offended was about Ari sounding like he was trying to curtail your free speech.
Correct.
And I was too. It took me 2 days to call you about it. And I saw you with him driving his car, and you're in this interview with him about what's wrong. That's when he said you were the existential threat to college
and by the
football.
way, Vance, the reason why he said I was an existential threat wasn't because I wrote some long, drawn-out thing. I happened to put out a tweet in the middle of the SMU game, which was the second blowout in a row, just saying congratulations, the committee did a great job. My hat is off to them. I mean, it was very low key, tongue in cheek, and for whatever reason, Ari Wasserman just popped a vein.
But in that conversation with you when he was in his automobile,
yeah,
he made a statement. He says the NIL and the portal are not the problem. It's things like what you said. And I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Right.
And then today, and I know that's what Brad, I don't know this. I think originally that was what he was offended by. But then Ari, he says, well, I wasn't talking about Paul. I wasn't attacking Paul. I was talking about something Paul said. Paul, I was doing the RCA dog. How can that be different? He was talking about you.
Of course he was.
And then when Brad brings up all the history of the championships, and Ari just he bowed up for a second, and he said, like, you don't think I know about that? Well, then he proceeds to give the two wrong teams in 2006 and 2019. So I'm not. It was fun. That's all I can say. And I guess, in my opinion, I think if Ari what is it? Brad calls him
Wasserman, like with a Z.
Okay, I think that if Ari had been in Brad's workout room or whatever that is, we might be watching somebody scrape him up with a trowel. I mean, Brad was mad. But it's been so enjoyable, and I must admit that I was wrong long ago. John is a treasure. And please keep, and he will be back. And he will.
Listen, I hope John gets the necessary help that he needs. Billy D is up next.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's therapy, and that goes with long-term, help. So this will not be like a turnaround in like 2 or 3 days, And I hope I want the best for the man. I really do. And so, Paul, I mean, as far as what I heard, the gentleman's name is Ari, right?
Ari Wasserman.
Right. Did he know it was prison rules today? Or did he just
I think Ari thought this was like a debate at the Yale Club. And everybody wears their Brooks Brothers suits, and they both sip a little champagne and just debate whether the GDP is a little bit too hot, that maybe interest rates will go up a little bit more than they need to.
I harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of him. Oh yeah, hey, it is what it is, and I think next time he might come with a little more flair. I mean, but Well,
it's a good thing that he wasn't in the ring with Legend or somebody, because he would have been carried out. I mean, Brad was just like, Brad grabbed his ankle and wouldn't let go. Finally, it had to end, but Brad was never letting go of his ankle. If you've ever had a dog like that, which I have.
I mean, that mixed breeding. That's what.
Yeah, I had a 70-pound dog that once that literally dragged me across the floor.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I had an 80-pound Rottweiler that drugged my sister about a block, and that's just for another day. But Paul, hey, great show, all good, and keep it going.
Thank you very much, Billy. We're up against a break. Much more to come on the program. We'll preview tonight's SEC basketball games a little bit later on. We are back after this.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
And we are back. Let's continue with more phone calls. And Jace is up next in Augusta. Hello, Jace.
Hey, Paul. Couple quick things. John quitting again. It's about the best damn news I heard. But, daggone well, he if he don't call back today, he'll be calling back tomorrow. So I'm taking the under yet again. And I want to speak briefly about Brad. I don't know if Brad will ever get that boot he broke off in Wasserman's ass today back or not. And I look forward to Legends call.
Well, he will, Jace, he'll be here in just a couple of minutes, and I cannot wait either. Thank you. Bruce is up next in Oklahoma. Hello, Bruce.
Hey, Paul. I believe that I know Judge John.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Let me set the stage for you here. He referred to himself as I thought he was referring himself to Abraham. Maybe God's leader or leader
Right.
that God chose. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing. But hey, it's been a few years ago. But John was chosen, or actually, we hired John as a mediator for a court case.
He said he did that.
Although he was a mediator for us. And as you know, being a legal person, you hire somebody to be a mediator, John. And
he acted like he was elected to be a mediator.
Well, yeah, he was. He had been.
By the way,
before.
I had a case when a mediator is non-binding, isn't it?
That's right.
So a mediator tries to get two sides. An
arbitration.
arbitrary. There's a difference between arbitration and mediation.
Right. Well, Paul, this was very interesting. Before we went into the area in which the mediation was going to be taking place, John had placed his name in a placard that is used to house whoever the judge was going to be. So we walked into the area, and lo and behold, it was a courtroom. John, as a mediator, set himself in the judge's seat above everybody.
That is hilarious.
Oh, he did, Paul. It was absolutely incredible.
That is funny.
I think it was something here is really important. Now, you correct me on this if I'm wrong, Paul, but a degree in law is a master's degree. It may say JD, but according to the Tennessee Code Annotated, it's a master's degree. And so this is a lot of responsibility and a lot of talk coming from John to have a master's degree.
Well, I'm sure he will dispute that, but Bruce, ultimately, he's a retired judge, and
that's right.
You obviously know a few retired judges. That's who normally does mediation. They make a couple of bucks. It gives them something to do, so they get out of the way of everyone else that they live around. And then
$300, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's not. But it's like a lot of people can never walk away from whatever they do. But I think judges are because judges have robes, they have gavels. They never get over being a judge. Hey, thank you so much. I-Man is up next.
Well, hey there, Paul. I found the three J's in your program: the Judge, Jimmy John. They're all alike. They want somebody. They want everybody to follow their lead, if you will.
Right.
But they're the three odd people out. And on the debate, I appreciate Brad's argument, but that's the same argument that half the country has had all year. And I never understood where the stars fit into this. People want to see the stars. No, they come to see the team. But the debate, the rules were set in place. This is the teams we're going to have. And we're going to have pretty much the same thing this year. And everybody keeps complaining, but these aren't the best teams. But that's the way it finished out. Those were the best teams according to the landscape. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, you're right. It is.
So I appreciate it. I'd say that maybe Ari won it because he kind of stuck to the play-by-play and the rules, and I do appreciate Brad's passion, if you will. But Yeah, and mostly anticipating Legends call. All right, y'all have a good day.
Be well, man. Thank you so much. This is from Ari Wasserman. Good teams win, great teams cover. You know, when you win, shouldn't you just kind of walk away, Randy, and not dance on the grave? Yeah, he had. Felix is up next in Birmingham. Hello, Felix.
Hey, Paul. It's been a while since I called in. Good to talk to you and everything.
Thank you.
I have a couple theories and whatnot on John from St. Louis, and
okay.
I think he's related to Jim from Tuscaloosa, and I think all John from St. Louis's calls are scripted. Now, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I don't. To me, it's more that he has about 2 or 3 different layers of he starts out low key. And then he's a man that just cannot control his temper. So he's always about authority, and you know, he's living in the past, of course, like the 50s or 60s. But he just has this hang up that everything here, there's no ability to hear differing sides, and that's all we do here is have conversations back and forth. And but John is just a crotchety old guy. We've all had family members, neighbors. Co-workers that encapsulate who John is.
Well, Paul, I've always been curious and whatnot. What did he get arrested for? And what is he?
He got arrested. He was on a train, and he interrupted the conductor's conducting. I think he interfered with a moving train. Is that a crime?